Open on the screen. Net worth, $1 million. That's all the screen shows. No name, no context. Just a phone in someone's hand, late at night, and that number sitting there in plain black text, glowing a little too bright in a dark kitchen. Now here's the same person, 32 years earlier. A pay stub, $14 an hour. Same guy, same hands, just 3 decades apart. So how does someone go from $14 an hour to a 7-figure net worth? And more importantly, how does a bartender do it? Because if you've ever worked a service job, you know exactly what people assume about you. They assume you're passing through. They assume this is temporary, a placeholder until real life starts, whatever that's supposed to mean. Nobody assumes you're building something. Nobody looks at a guy shaking a cocktail and thinks, that's the beginning of a company.
Most people watching this probably know a Tyler, or they know a Jake, or honestly, they might be one of them right now without even realizing which one yet. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about money and why some people turn ordinary jobs into extraordinary outcomes, while other people doing the exact same work, standing at the exact same bar, end up with nothing to show for it decades later. If you want the actual math behind how this happens, not the vague feel-good version, hit subscribe, because today we're going back to the very beginning, and we're bringing a calculator with us the whole way. 18 years old, first shift. A dive bar with sticky floors and a jukebox that only half works. His name is Tyler. Working the same shift as a guy named Jake. Same age, same bar, same $14 an hour, same tip jar sitting on the same section of counter. By the end of the night, Tyler counts it out. $180 in cash. Jake counts his too, almost identical. At roughly 4 shifts a week, that puts both of them around $40,000 a year between wages and tips combined. Not nothing either. Enough to survive on, and if you're not paying attention, enough to disappear completely, one Friday night at a time. Here's where the story actually starts, because this is the moment nobody talks about. It's not the job that decides what happens next. It's not even the tips, and it's definitely not talent, because both of these guys have plenty of it. It's what happens to that $180 in the 90 minutes after the shift ends. In a decision so small, neither of them would call it a decision at all. Jake already has plans. A drink at the bar next door, unwinding with the guys, splitting a late-night pizza, and Uber home because walking 20 minutes at 3 a.m. feels like too much to ask of himself. By the time he's in bed, close to half the $180 is already gone. Not on anything terrible. Nothing he'd even remember by Monday. Just gone. Nightlife inflation. The quiet tax every service worker pays without ever noticing the withdrawal. Tyler does something different that night. Not because he's smarter than Jake. Not because he wants it more. Because someone once told him a phrase that stuck in his head like a splinter. Every tip has a job. Not every tip gets spent. Every tip gets assigned. That night, and most nights after, roughly $300 a month gets set aside, moved into a jar at home, untouched. This is the enemy of this whole story, and it doesn't look anything like the enemies in most money videos. Not a truck, not a credit card. Something much smaller and much harder to notice, called the cash leak. Tips, in hand, every single night, disappearing in small, forgettable amounts that never individually feel like a decision. That's exactly what makes the cash leak so dangerous. Nobody ever sits down and decides to stay broke. They just never sit down and decide anything at all. Age 18. This is the foundation. $300 a month. Moved into savings, and then a basic, low-cost index fund. Doesn't sound like much sitting on a spreadsheet, and it isn't. Not yet. But it's a habit, not a hobby. And habits are the only thing in personal finance that actually compounds. Nobody gets excited about a foundation. Nobody films the concrete being poured. But nothing gets built on top of a foundation that was never laid. By 24, Tyler's a senior bartender now. Better shifts, better tips, more responsibility behind the bar, and a section of the floor that actually tips well. His income has climbed to around $52,000 a year. Jake's pulling similar money by this point too, because Jake is genuinely good at the job. This was never a story about talent. But the gap between them isn't about income anymore. It's entirely about where the money goes the moment the shift ends. Tyler's monthly contribution has grown to $550, and 6 years of consistent saving, plus modest market returns doing their quiet work in the background, has turned into just under $24,000 sitting in an account with his name on it. Jake's still living the exact same nightly pattern he had at 18, just with slightly bigger numbers attached to the same habits. His savings account, 6 years later, reads $340. Somewhere in those 6 years, Tyler also does something Jake never bothers with. He moves, not apartments, venues. From the dive bar to a cocktail bar across town, one that actually trains its staff on technique, on presentation, on the kind of drink menu people photograph before they drink it. Same hours behind the bar, same basic skill set, just sharpened. Almost double the tips. This is the part of the story people skip past, because it doesn't look like a promotion on paper. There's no new title, no corner office. But moving from a dive bar to a cocktail bar, and later from a cocktail bar toward fine dining and private events, functions exactly like a raise, except nobody has to approve it. Nobody has to notice you deserve it. You just have to go get it. Here's the first real turn in the story. At 28, Tyler starts doing something on his weekends off, almost by accident. A friend's engagement party needs a bartender. Tyler says yes, brings his own setup, and makes $400 in one night doing exactly what he already knows how to do for a fraction of that in wages. Then a birthday party calls. Then a corporate happy hour. By the end of that first year, the side gig has pulled in about $9,000 extra, money that technically didn't exist in his life 12 months earlier. He puts roughly half of it, $4,500, back into better equipment and a simple website. The other half goes into the same account as everything else, right alongside the tip money. This is the moment the story stops being about saving money and starts being about building something. Profession becomes skill. Skill becomes a small business, even a tiny one. And that changes the math completely, because now there are 2 engines running instead of 1, and only one of them depends on him showing up to a building he doesn't own. Then, at 30, everything gets shaky. The restaurant Tyler's worked at for 6 years gets sold. New owner, new concept, entirely new staff. Tyler's out of a job with almost no warning, standing in a parking lot holding a box of his own bar tools. This is the part of the story that isn't supposed to happen in the version people imagine, where the numbers just climb in a smooth, satisfying line forever. Real life doesn't work that way, and pretending it does is how people end up unprepared for the one bad year that everyone eventually gets. For about a week, Tyler does the thing everyone does when the floor disappears. He panics quietly, applies to 5 places that aren't hiring, and stares at his savings balance like it's a countdown clock instead of a cushion. This is usually where these stories go sideways for people. The emergency fund gets treated like an ATM instead of a foundation, and 6 months later, there's nothing left to show for years of discipline except a temporary delay before starting over completely from zero. But here's the twist nobody sees coming, including Tyler. The side gig, the thing that started as weekend pocket money for an engagement party, is still running. Private events don't care that Tyler lost his day job. That year, the catering side brings in about $22,000 on its own, enough to cover rent and bills through 4 full months without a single bar shift. He barely has to touch his $34,000 in savings, pulling out roughly $3,000 as a temporary buffer instead of draining the whole account in a panic. What used to be a hobby just became a lifeline. And it happened at exactly the moment the safe job proved it was never actually safe at all. That's the lesson most people miss completely, and it's worth sitting with for a second. A paycheck feels safe until the day it isn't. A skill turned into a business doesn't disappear just because someone else decided to sell the building it used to live inside. 2 years later, at 32, Tyler opens his banking app on an ordinary Tuesday and sees something that stops him cold. Business revenue this year, $41,000. Investment gains this year, $9,000. For the first time, the business he built on the side, almost accidentally, is out-earning the money sitting in his portfolio. And that portfolio now worth around $118,000 after 14 years of unglamorous contributions, is finally throwing off real numbers on its own, without him lifting a single finger. The business isn't replacing the investing, it's feeding it. Every extra dollar of catering profit becomes another contribution, and every contribution compounds a little faster than the one before it, quietly, in the background, while Tyler is busy running events on weekends. Every tip has a job, and now some of those jobs are hiring other tips. Let's slow down for a second and talk about why $118,000 can quietly produce $9,000 in a single year. Because this is the piece most people never actually see explained. A 7% return on $2,000 is $140. Barely noticeable, easy to ignore. That same 7% return on $118,000 is over $8,000. Real money, showing up in the account without Tyler lifting a finger. The strategy underneath it isn't more sophisticated than what someone with $500 saved could use. Same index funds, same basic accounts. The only difference is scale. And scale is exactly what 14 years of consistent, boring contributions eventually buys you. This is the part of the story that has nothing to do with bartending at all. It's just math, patiently waiting for enough time and enough money to start mattering. By 35, Tyler's catering side gig has become a real company, pulling in close to $95,000 a year in revenue. He's doing private events, corporate contracts, even training other bartenders to run events the exact way he does, and consulting for a couple of restaurant groups who want their beverage programs to look like his. He reinvests about 30% of that back into hiring and gear, and the rest, layered on top of his ongoing personal contributions from years of habit, pushes his combined portfolio and business savings past $220,000. He's not just pouring drinks anymore. He's built a system where the work happens whether he personally stands behind the bar or not, which is the entire point of a business in the first place. This is stage 2 of the whole model, if you're keeping track. Stage 1 was purely defensive, a wage earner building a cushion. Stage 2 is where the skill turns offensive, where it starts generating its own income, separate from an hourly rate someone else sets. Jake, meanwhile, is still tending bar at a new spot downtown, still charming with customers, still making decent tips on a good Friday night, still spending most of them the same night he earns them. Because 17 years of a habit doesn't just fix itself, especially when nobody ever hands you a reason to change it. Same talent as Tyler, arguably better with people, genuinely one of the best bartenders in the city if you ask around. Completely different trajectory. 17 years in, his savings still sit under $6,000, and he started picking up a 5th shift most weeks just to keep pace with rent. At 38, Tyler expands into a second city. What started as one guy with a cocktail kit in the trunk of his car is now a company pulling close to $220,000 a year, with staff, contracts, and a name people specifically request by. Between the business and his investment accounts, his combined net worth crosses $400,000 for the first time in his life, which is a strange number to sit with when you remember he started at $14 an hour with sticky floors under his feet. This is the scaling stage, the point where the business finally starts running without Tyler personally doing every single job inside it himself. By 45, Tyler barely works behind a bar at all anymore, and honestly, some weeks he misses it. The noise, the rhythm, the small talk with strangers. But he's the one managing the managers now, the one signing the contracts, the one training the trainers. His personal draw from the business runs around $180,000 a year, and most of it now flows straight into investments instead of covering daily expenses. Because daily expenses stopped needing all of his income a long time ago. His combined net worth passes $650,000. The tip jar from that first sticky-floored dive bar has become an actual company with employees who now have their own tip jars to fill and their own choice about what to do with them. And here's where the investment side of the story, the part we actually started with, comes all the way back around. Underneath every stage of the business growth, Tyler kept doing the boring, unglamorous thing the entire time, automatically investing a portion of everything he made, business income included, without exception, year after year. The business was the engine. The investments were what turned that engine's output into something permanent, something compounding on its own schedule, something that didn't depend on Tyler continuing to work forever. By 50, the number on the screen reads $1 million. Roughly $700,000 of it sitting in investments that have been compounding quietly, invisibly, for over 3 decades, growing while he slept, while he worked, while he did absolutely nothing to it at all. The rest, close to $300,000, built into the value and cash flow of a company that started with a single $400 engagement party 22 years earlier, back when Tyler didn't even own a proper cocktail shaker of his own. Not luck, not a lottery ticket, not a rich uncle, not a stock tip that happened to hit at the right time. Not because Tyler got a lucky break, not because he quit bartending to become something else entirely, because he took the exact skill that pays $14 an hour behind a bar and turned it into something worth infinitely more once it belonged to him. His name, his business, his decisions about where every single dollar went the moment it landed in his hand. And Jake? Jake's bartending, still good at it, still liked by his regulars. 32 years after that first identical shift, his lifetime earnings and Tyler's aren't actually that different. 2 men, similar tips, similar talent, similar hours worked over 3 decades. One of them has $1 million. The other has whatever's left over after rent this month. The gap was never the job. It was never even close to being about the job. Go back to that first scene. The phone. The number. Now you know exactly what's actually behind it. 32 years. One habit that started with $300 a month in a jar. One enemy that almost won more nights than it lost. One crisis that could have ended everything if the wrong lesson had been learned. And one ordinary Tuesday at 32, where the business finally started carrying more weight than the paycheck ever did. Most people looking at Tyler at 18 would have written the same story for him that they'd write for anyone slinging drinks for tips. Get by, get out. Move on to something real eventually. Nobody looks at a bartender and sees a business owner in progress. Nobody looks at a tip jar and sees the first brick of a company. That's the part people get wrong about jobs like this one. It was never really about the $14 an hour. It was never really about the tips either, not directly. It was about what those tips were allowed to become. Savings, then a side business, then a real company, then a portfolio that kept growing whether Tyler was standing behind a bar or not. People thought Tyler was pouring drinks. He was really pouring the foundation for his future. One tip, one shift, one deliberate decision at a time. None of this happened overnight, and none of it happened because Tyler discovered some secret the rest of us don't have access to. It happened one ordinary decision at a time, repeated for over 3 decades, long after it stopped feeling exciting, and long before it started looking like $1 million on a screen. That's the part nobody puts in the highlight reel. The middle 20 years, where nothing dramatic is happening, where it's just a jar filling up slowly, a business growing a little every quarter, an account balance climbing in increments too small to brag about. If you're standing behind a bar right now, or working any job people assume is temporary, understand this. The ceiling was never the job. The ceiling was always just whatever you decided to do with what the job gave you every single night. Every tip has a job. Make sure you're the one assigning it.